So tomorrow we are going racing with my 05 STI. We're going drag racing though, so it's not like a circuit track or it's not like an autocross event or anything like that. I've been to plenty of those tracks in the past, but I've never been to a drag racing event. However, I saw this as a great opportunity to show you guys how to prepare your car for going to the track and what you need to do. Because if you've never been, you don't know, or if you have been, maybe it's been a while and you need a refresher. So we're gonna break this down into a couple little categories. We're gonna go over the car, what you yourself as a person needs, and then just some random miscellaneous stuff here at the end. So let's get this car ready. Now some of these may seem fairly self-explanatory or obvious, but make sure that your wheels lug nuts are torqued down properly. The last thing that you want to happen at the track is a wheel to come off from a loose lug nut or a broken wheel stud to happen. It's easy, it takes 5 minutes. Make sure your wheels are torqued down properly. So like I said, the first couple are going to be pretty easy and self-explanatory. Make sure you have the proper amount of fluids in your engine, so that way when you're not at the track, you're not going 100% throttle on it or anything like that. You're not running low on fluids and completely demolishing your engine. Yeah, you should probably be doing it all the time anyways, but this is one of those instances where you need to make sure you got the proper fluids. Beautiful. You should also probably make sure you have somewhat of a fresh oil change because that's going to be an important one. And we got coolant. Make sure, just making sure our overflow's got coolant in it. So they are going to check this at tech inspection for pretty much any race that you go to. You got to have a battery tray and a battery that is secure and mounted and not going to move. The last thing that you want when racing is your battery flying all over the place. So make sure you do have a good battery tie down or battery mount. Like you can see ours. It's not moving anywhere. A little less obvious, but still an important one. Now, as painstakingly obvious as this should be, make sure your car is not leaking any fluids, because fluid leaks on tracks, especially drag strips, I know they're going to get upset and mad about that one, so make sure they will check that one at tech inspection to make sure that you have no leaking fluids. We have a freshly built engine. I know it's not leaking anything, but it never hurts to look. Make sure you're also filled up and you have the proper fuel in your car. If you're running pump gas, just make sure you got a full tank. If you're running E85 like I am, I'd suggest filling it up before you go and then bringing at least one extra container of fuel with you. So that way when you're beating on the car, you've got extra fuel to use if you run out. You're gonna go through fuel pretty quick at a track event. Next up is gonna be your tires. Make sure that you are using the tires that you have planned to run at the track. For me, I'm just using the tires that I daily drive with. They're all season tires. They'll probably get torn up fairly quickly at a track versus not having an actual track tire or a summer tire or a drag radial, whatever it is you're gonna be doing. If you do have a secondary set of tires, make sure that you got them on the car, or make sure you bring them with you when you go out to the track, so that way you can change them out there. Like, you don't want to drive to the track on your drag radials if you're going drag racing. That's just not a smart idea. If they're not a DOT rated tire, bring them with you and change them at the track. If they are a DOT rated tire and you do want to drive them out there, by all means do so, but it's probably going to be one of your biggest impacting factors while you're out there is probably your tire. Now, it's not a bad idea to see who is sponsoring the event at your track, whether it's SCCA or NHRA. Both of them are going to have very different sets of rules that you need to abide by and you need to follow. If you go into like time attack and all that stuff, there's all sorts of different rules and regulations that you need to make sure that your car suits. But for us that are just going out there for fun, just make sure that you are peeking at the rules. Like for the NHRA rules, because we are going drag racing, we need to make sure that this car will not leak any fluids. They are big on not leaking fluids. So one of the major rules that they have is making sure that you have a specified size for your coolant overflow to make sure that you're not peeing coolant all over the track. Because if you do pee coolant all over the track, you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting everybody else's time out at the track, and they're all gonna be mad at you, or they're all gonna be annoyed at you. So our coolant overflow is secured, it does have the proper amount of fluid in it, and it does meet the size requirements for the NHRA. Just keep in mind, you can go on Google easily. I'll actually link below the rule books for NHRA and SCCA if you guys are planning out to go to the track and you wanna take a peek at those rules before you go out. It also doesn't hurt to go through your engine bay, through your car, to make sure everything is secure, because the last thing you want is like a bracket breaking, a bolt not being there, things rattling around and having the potential to create more havoc than it's worth. So we've gone ahead, we've made sure that the car itself is ready to go to the track. Now what about what we need to do? Because mechanically speaking, we're good to go. We have no fluid leaks. We have the proper tires on the car. Our wheel lugs are torqued down to spec. everything within the engine bay meets requirements, our battery tie down, fluid levels, everything like that. Car's good to go, mechanically speaking. Now we need to make sure that we meet the safety qualifications for what we're doing. So if you've never been out, say you're going drag racing and you have no idea what time your car is going to put down or what the ET of it's going to end up being, that's all right. Keep in mind that if your car is too fast, you may get kicked off the track for not meeting safety requirements. That's going to go straight back again into the NHRA handbook and rule book for what your car needs for safety. I don't know what this car is going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've never been to a drag track, so this is new for me. But there's still some safety stuff that we need to make sure that we hit. Now make sure that everything inside of your car is secured down if it's going to be in the car when you're doing your runs or when you're doing your passes. You can't have loose sledgehammers laying around. Oh, sorry camera. You can't have your old hoodies sitting around. You can't have your dog's leash sitting around. And another one that a lot of people get dinged on but they don't actually realize is floor mats. If your driver's floor mat isn't secured down to the car, they are going to ask you to take that out. Same with all the other floor mats in the car. Sometimes they're going to have you take them out regardless. For us, my driver's floor mat is secured down. The last thing that they want is something rolling around under your seat or getting up under your foot on the pedals when you're driving, either causing you to not be able to brake, not engage the clutch, or have other issues as you're driving. So make sure that all loose components inside of the car are pulled out. Check under your seats, check under your floor mats, just check everywhere. Next up, it's pretty self-explanatory, and if your seat is loose, they are going to knock you back, but make sure your seats are properly secured in and you're not going anywhere. The last thing you want is a seat to be moving around on you or falling out, or God forbid you get in an accident and your seat breaks in half because it's not bolted down or some ungodly event happens. So make sure everything inside of the car is good. Now for safety requirements, we touched on this a little bit earlier and you can reference the handbook linked down below. However, if your car is too fast for whatever the specified time is for the category you're running in, they may kick you off the track if you don't have a roll cage, a roll bar, whatever type of safety standard is required for you to be able to run your car at the track. Who's in the VQ sounding trumpety? Now let's talk about safety equipment. So 99% of the time, you're not going to need a full getup like this. I only have this because I have it for the 17 STI for when we go to actually compete with that car. 99% of the time, all you're going to need is an SFI approved helmet. I have been using the Race Quip ones for a couple years now. I actually really like these ones. They're affordable, like $150 a helmet. The last thing that I like doing is renting or using a helmet at the track. Most of the time they do have rental helmets or usable helmets that you can just go grab off of a table, but I highly suggest bringing your own helmet. The last thing you want is lice or some other weird hair disease from other random people out on the track. You don't know everyone out there, but you don't need a full getup like this if you're going to the track. 90% of the time, a helmet will get you by. So get a good helmet. Lastly, on the safety side of things, make sure you have a properly working seat belt, because you're going to need to make sure that you have some type of safety device in the car. If you are running aftermarket seats with a harness, make sure that those do meet safety requirements, because some of them out there just won't. SFI approved things will get you by pretty much all of the time as long as they're not expired. Most safety equipment has an expiration date on it. If you were to look inside of a helmet, there is a stamp in there with an expiration date. That's going to go on a lot of the SFI approved things that you're going to be using. They will expire over time. So make sure that whatever safety equipment you do have is still within its operational time frame. So that way if they do check, you don't fail and you still have a helmet that's going to save your life if anything negative were to happen. Same with your seat belts and your seats. So to give you guys an example of this, this is my Sparco Sprint seat for my 17 STI. This is an FHI approved seat. Some of them are going to be SFI, some of them are going to be FHI depending on the safety standard that it's meeting. Now if we come down here and we look at the other side of this, on this sticker right here, you can see that the FIA, my apologies, the FIA standard is 8855-1999. This seat is compliant for certain applications of racing. Down here on the very bottom, you'll see not valid after 2026. So that's when this seat expires. A lot of the safety equipment that you may use will expire after some time, but this isn't going to really be compliant for you unless you do have aftermarket seats in the car, or unless you are trying to get a lot more competitive. Just make sure that all of your safety equipment is within its operational seasonal time frame. So that about covers it to make sure that your car and you are ready to go out to the track for either your first day or maybe your refresher. Another like good tip is pack a tool bag with you. Bring like a little camping chair to be able to sit on, so that way when you're not out racing and you are taking a break, either letting the car cool down or you're trying to work out some issues, you can at least sit down, so that way you're not having to sit like only in the car or like find a spot on the ground. And then if you can, try to bring a floor jack, so that way if you do need to get under the car to diagnose anything that may have broken or may be going wrong, you can definitely get down there and do so. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. If there's any like really important things that I may have left out, please feel free to throw them down in the comments below. I'm excited to get this car out to the track tomorrow. It'll be fun. I'm curious to see what it'll put down in a quarter mile, but that's all I got for you guys on this one. So if you liked the video, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. Also, side note, bring a lot of zip ties with you, because zip ties fix a lot of things when they come in clutch. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be one of these corners, I have no idea which one I'll throw it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.